The message arrived at 2:11 in the morning, just as the rain began to press against the windows like fingers demanding to be let in. I was awake already. I had been for weeks. Sleep had become something fragile, something that slipped away the moment I reached for it. The apartment felt too quiet at night, the silence thick with unfinished conversations and the faint smell of her lavender shampoo that still lingered in the bathroom cabinet. I told myself I would clear it out. I never did. When my phone vibrated on the bedside table, I almost ignored it. Almost. No one good ever calls or writes at 2:11 a.m. I rolled onto my side and reached for it, expecting spam or some wrong number. Instead, there was a single text from an unknown contact. It was just a link. No name, no explanation. Just a YouTube URL. For a long moment I stared at it, my thumb hovering over the screen. The thumbnail didn't load. The sender's profile picture was blank. My first thought was that it was a mistake. My second was that it was her. Lena had been gone for 8 months. 8 months since the hospital room, since the machines that beeped in rhythms I still heard in my dreams. Since her hand went slack in mine. 8 months since I had walked out into a cold morning that felt like it had swallowed the sun. She had been the kind of person who left voice notes instead of texts, who believed that words deserved breath and warmth. A link in the middle of the night didn't feel like her, and yet my chest tightened as if she had just whispered my name. I told myself not to be ridiculous. The dead don't send links. Still, I tapped it. The video opened slowly, buffering as the rain grew heavier outside. The title was simple. No dramatic phrases, no clickbait, just my name. Daniel. My heart stuttered. The screen went black, then flickered to life. It was her, sitting on our old couch, the one we'd argued about because it was too big for the living room. She was wearing the grey sweater I loved, her hair tied loosely over one shoulder. She looked thinner. I remembered that sweater from the last months, how it had begun to hang off her bones. "Hi, Dan," she said, smiling softly. I forgot how to breathe. Her voice wasn't a memory. It was present, alive in the room. The rain outside disappeared. The apartment shrank to the size of my phone screen. "If you're watching this," she continued, "then it means I was right." A faint laugh escaped her lips, that gentle knowing sound. "You always said I overthink everything, but I needed to do this." My hands began to shake. "I know you," she said. "I know how you love. You hold on to things, to guilt, to promises you think you broke. And if I don't say this, you'll carry me like a weight instead of a gift." I swallowed hard, a bitter taste rising in my throat. "I asked Maya to send this to you," she said. "Not right away. Not when everything is still sharp. I told her to wait until you stopped going out. Until you started sleeping with the lights on again." A sob caught in my chest. Maya, of course. Lena looked straight into the camera, into me. "Dan, if you're watching this at 2 in the morning, you need to hear something." The rain seemed to quiet, as if the world leaned in. "This wasn't your fault." The words landed like something breaking open inside me. I'd replayed that night 1,000 times. The way I hesitated before taking her to the hospital, because she insisted it was just fatigue. The way I stepped out to answer a work call. The way I wasn't in the room when her heart failed. I'd built a cathedral of blame and lived inside it. "You did everything you could," she said gently. "You loved me loudly and stubbornly, and with your whole ridiculous heart. That's not a failure." Tears blurred the screen. I wiped them away with the back of my hand, desperate not to miss a second. She shifted slightly, and I saw the effort it took her to sit upright. I remembered that day now. I had been in the kitchen making tea. She told me she was recording something silly for her cousin. "I need you to promise me something," she said. "And I know you hate promises you can't keep, so I'm going to make this easy." She took a breath. "Live." The word felt too small for what she meant. "Not survive," she clarified softly. "Not exist. Live. Go back to painting. Call your mother. Laugh at stupid movies. Fall in love again if it happens. Don't turn me into a reason to stop." A sharp ache spread through my chest. "Fall in love again. I don't want to be the ghost in your apartment," she said. "I want to be the wind at your back." The video paused for a fraction of a second as my connection faltered, and panic surged through me. I needed to hear all of it. I needed her to keep talking. When it resumed, her eyes were glossy but steady. "I'm not afraid, Dan," she said quietly. "I was, but not anymore. Loving you made me brave, and I need you to let that love make you brave too." Her smile wavered then, just slightly. "There's one more thing." She reached off camera and brought back a small notebook. My notebook. The one filled with half-finished sketches and ideas for paintings. "I never started." "I hid this," she admitted, grinning. "In the bottom drawer of your desk. You'll find it." My heart pounded. "Page 42, she said. "Don't stop at page 23 like you always do." I let out a broken laugh. She knew me too well. "I love you," she whispered finally. "But love isn't a chain, Dan, it's a door." The video ended. The screen went dark. For a long time, I didn't move. The rain had softened into a gentle drizzle. The room felt both emptier and fuller than before. I watched it again and again. Each time, her words cut through a different layer of the armor I had built around myself. When the sun began to rise, pale and uncertain, I stood up. My legs felt weak, as if I were learning to walk after a long illness. I went to the desk I hadn't opened in months. The bottom drawer stuck at first. I had to pull harder than I expected. Inside were old receipts, a dried pen, and beneath them the notebook. My hands trembled as I opened it. Page 23 was where I had stopped, a rough sketch of a coastline we once visited. I turned to page 42. There in her handwriting was a single sentence. "If you're reading this, you're still here." The simplicity of it crushed me. Below it she had drawn a small, imperfect heart. I sank into the chair and let myself cry, not the tight, controlled tears I had grown used to, but deep, shuddering sobs that left me breathless. It wasn't just grief anymore. It was release. For months, I'd been afraid that letting go of the guilt meant letting go of her, that if I stopped punishing myself, I would be betraying her memory. But she had given me permission. No more than that. She had given me instruction. Live. That afternoon I called my mother. I hadn't spoken to her properly since the funeral. She answered on the second ring, her voice cautious. "Daniel." We talked for an hour, about nothing important, about the garden, about a neighbor's new dog, about how she missed Lena too. When I hung up, the apartment felt less like a tomb. In the weeks that followed, I began to do small, terrifying things. I moved the couch. I donated her clothes, keeping only the gray sweater. I opened the windows during the day. I picked up a paintbrush for the first time in nearly a year. The first strokes were clumsy, my hands stiff. But I kept going. I painted the rain against the window at 2:11 a.m. I painted her smile as she looked into the camera. I painted doors, slightly ajar, light spilling through the cracks. I didn't stop at page 23. One evening, months later, I found myself at a small gallery opening, standing awkwardly near a table of cheap wine. One of my paintings hung on the far wall, the rain one. A woman with dark curls stood beside me studying it. "It feels like it's about something more than rain," she said. "It is," I replied. She turned to me and smiled, not in the way Lena used to, but in her own distinct, bright way. "What's it about?" she asked. I hesitated, then said, "A message." She nodded as if that made perfect sense. As we talked, I felt something unfamiliar stir inside me. Not betrayal, not guilt, possibility. That night, when I returned home, I sat on the edge of my bed and glanced at the clock. 2:11 a.m. But this time I wasn't alone with my grief. I picked up my phone and opened the video one last time. I didn't need to watch it all, just the beginning. "Hi, Dan," she said, smiling. "I'm trying," I whispered to the screen. "I really am." And for the first time since, the hospital room and the cold morning, and the silence that followed, I felt something shift completely inside me. Love had not ended. It had changed its shape. It was no longer a weight on my chest. It was a door, just like she said. I stood, walked to the window and opened it. The night air rushed in, cool and alive. Somewhere beyond the dark buildings and the quiet streets, beyond memory and regret, there was a future waiting. And this time, I stepped toward it.